Good evening. My name is Andrii Kotliar. I'm Ukrainian cinematographer and producer, part of Babylon 13 Collective and the executive director of KINOKO Film Festival. Today I'll moderate this event called Cinematographers at War together with Anastasia Tikha.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nastya. I am a Ukrainian director, part of Babylon 13 Collective, and also the program director of KINOKO Film Festival. We are really happy to see you all here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having interest in our events. We might start with a really short information about KINOKO. Because it actually is very similar festival, but much smaller and much younger that we are holding in Ukraine. It is also the film festival dedicated to art of the cinematography. And this year should have been really special for us because we thought that we will have our 5th edition, annual edition of KINOKO. But due to the full-scale Russian invasion in Ukraine, it can no longer happen. So we are extremely grateful to CAMERIMAGE, to the whole team of this beautiful festival for helping us to organize it here, for inviting all of us here. This is really special for us, and we will remember it. And thank you again, everybody from the team who is here in this hall and hears us.
Yeah, during this very difficult time, it's also important for us to describe more about common situation in Ukrainian film industry and describe more about cinematography collective unions that we have in Ukraine. And the idea was to present young voices from young Ukrainian cinematographers, DPs, to international audience. And I think all of them are a beautiful representative of modern Ukrainian visual art. They all have very interesting artistic approach. So here we go. Khrystyna Lizohub, a cinematographer. Her latest film, Butterfly Vision, was presented this year at Cannes International Film Festival, directed by Maxim Nakonyechny, and it was at Uncertain Regard program. Viacheslav Tsvietkov, here with us today. His previous work, The Earth as Blue as an Orange, won award at Sundance 2020 and got award for the best cinematography from International Documentary Association. And his recent project, This Rain Will Never Stop, won award at IDFA last year. Anton Yaremchuk, here today with us. Earlier, his short documentary, The Pit, was presented here at CAMERIMAGE and at IDFA, and the recent project called Erasing Fury just premiered at Tribeca. In addition to work as cinematographer, Anton has an very interesting experience working as a volunteer after 24th of February, after full-scale invasion, with evacuating people from the front line, basically. And Anton will tell more about his experience in all humanitarian field and about, you know, how he can manage being a cinematographer and volunteer in extremely different circumstances. Before we all start, I'll describe more about how seminar will go. It will be like 2 parts. In the first one, each of my colleagues will describe more about their own project, tell about artistic reflection, how it was for us working before 24th of February and how it is right now. We will share with you our recent project, trailers, some work-in-progress materials. And then we will talk about more general things such as technical stuff, moral question about our work as documentary filmmakers in the war. And finally, and maybe it's most important part for us, we would like to have questions from our audience and discuss it with you, and I hope it will be. And last but not least, event will be held in English, but Slava will share his experience in Ukrainian with translation by our beautiful interpreter Andrii. Thank you very much. So, for now it's enough for me, and Khrystyna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks. So yeah, my name is Khrystyna. I am a cinematographer, and so my journey as a cinematographer on war started in 2014 in February, when actually Russian Federation invaded Ukraine, and so I will start from a very small story from my life. I was sitting in the kitchen and thinking what I can do actually, because it was after our revolution, and I was a little bit frustrated like a person and like a cinematographer. So I was sitting and thinking what I can do actually to help the situation with war in Ukraine. So my friend Lisa Smith, she's a director and my best friend, called me and said, so I went to a city, small city on the east of Ukraine, it's called Mykolaiv. And I met wonderful children there. It was freed from Russia, this city, and come here to shoot. So we started shooting these children. We started communicating with them. We shot a film that called School Number 3. It was a full-length documentary film. We were shooting for a year, and we went through a long way of rehabilitation and long friendship with the children. And I understand that for me, cinematography is not only about just shooting films, but it's also about something that you focus on and something that you are going through with your country, because actually war is a very hard thing for a country. So, and that was my first experience. And after that, I understood, my cinematographer's way was more or less about shooting war. And in 2019, we started working on a movie called Butterfly Vision. It's a movie about, it's a drama about a female IRA scout, IRA reconnaissance woman. And so small story, how it sounds, returning home from the front line after being held captive for 2 months, soldier Lila discovers that she's pregnant after being raped by her warden. And Andrii, I will ask Andrii to show the trailer of this movie so you understand what it is about.
Вітаємо вас удома. Як ви себе почуваєте?
Так важко сказати, поки що якось наче тут і там, не знаю, що сказати.
Пожалуйста, не надо, пожалуйста.
Парамедик?
Аеророзвідка.
О, пташки. Ну, з поверненням, мотелик. Слава Україні!
Героям слава.
Ще, Ліль, цікавлять, в принципі, будь-які деталі. Там.
Був один росіянин, і називали його Старшой. Тоха.
8-9 тижнів.
Слухай, Лілька, можна заявити про воєнний злочин.
Я буду поруч.
Це що?
Ліль, третій Майдан вже мирним не буде, січеш?
Коли аборт?
So, as you can see, it's a women's story, and for me as a cinematographer, it was I felt really close to the situation. And when we started working on this film, we realized that it should be a very honest film, because the war continues, and we started working in 2019, and the war was still going on. And we cannot lie and embellish the image, we cannot lie and embellish the story. So, because the film will be watched by the soldiers, by their people who were actually captured, so we have to be really, really honest. So that's why we started our way from, we went to the east of Ukraine, just like for research, and we wanted to see how it's actually, how everything was happening, and in reality, how the soldiers live, how they communicate to each other, what's around them, and that also the Donbass, the east region of Ukraine, it's actually, we shot there a copter shot that you see in the trailer, and we can do it only there because the east of Ukraine has its own specific image, so we also choose a location for the copter shot there. And then after we started working on the director's script, and when we were writing it, we realized that the film should be shot very carefully, because the story and the script should come first, and I have to give in my cinematographer's ambitions in many cases just to show the story. We shot almost the entire film on the handheld camera to add the documentary feel to the image. Color is also very important in the film. To say simply, we just took the colors of the Ukrainian actual Ukrainian military uniform and poured them into everyday life, because we do not show actual war in the film, we show the war in the city, we show the war in Kiev, in the peaceful city, like the consequences of the war. And it's also worth mentioning the place of media resources in the film, the role of the journalists and media in the Russian-Ukrainian war from 2014 to 2022. And it was, for my opinion, actually, the role of the media was always very dual and controversial, because on the one hand, it's very important to cover the events that are happening in the Ukraine, but on the other hand, the media often do it one-sidedly and simply. Often they film stories of suffering just to show suffering, because it catches people's minds, without showing the depth and scope of the whole situation in Ukraine. So we take several, just a second, sorry. Yeah, so to shoot several, we have 3 or 4 scenes of media in our films, and we watch a lot of reports, videos, and streams just to show it. So, interesting fact about our films that we shot one from the first scenes and biggest scenes of our film on the iPhone 11X Pro. It was a stream of return of prisoners from Russia to Ukraine, and it was very big shooting. It was like 200 people, a lot of light, and just a small phone to shoot all this, because we filmed it on the phone because I was sure that it should be filmed that way. A very important, a very strong scene and grandiose scene, but camera should be small because the media is about this, like something very big is happening and the small cameras is shooting this. And in my opinion, it gives a very strong result. So in this way, we shot several scenes using a phone camera, a laptop camera, and a television camera. Another interesting moment is the scene of this. You've seen in the trailer that it's a scene of destroyed Kiev, destroyed big stadium, not square, like big square, yeah, destroyed square. And our film was shot a year before the full-scale invasion. And in one scene of the film, we destroyed one of the largest squares in Kiev with the help of the production designer, visual effects, and a week before February 24th, a whole team watched the film, and with horror. We saw the destroyed Kyiv on the screen, and we were just like very shocked. And on the 24th of February, the full invasion started, and me, as a cinematographer, I was actually ready to shoot. I had a camera, and I started to shooting from the beginning. From the I went to metro, and I take my camera, and I began to shoot. And I continue shooting a film. It's called, we're shooting it together with our productions. It's called Cały production, Kyiv-based production. And it's called The Days That We Want to Forget. Yes, and I think for now, I totally understand my place on the war, because I want to be near my people, and I want to live through this war together with my people and my homeland. Thank you.
Thank you, Khrystyna, for sharing experience, and of course, yes, for all of us, it's very important and in the same situation very hard, because we are all cinematographers, documentary filmmakers, but in the same time we are all Ukrainians. So film during these circumstances, it's hard for me to be, to think out of the box. And my next question is going to Slava. Slava, you had experience working before 24th of February in Donbass, and it was a huge success with The Earth is Blue as an Orange. And now you're doing another project, but I think you have style that's not changed, that you have some artistic approach that follow you with all these years. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about recent experience and experience after 24th of February.
Hello, my dear friends. Yeah, I have experience, yes, of course, but first I want first, I want to tell for you about the war in Ukraine. Start in for me, it's 2013. It's Майдан for me. Я перейду на українську мову.
Let me switch to Ukrainian.
Yeah. Для мене бойові дії почалися саме на Майдані в 2013 році, ось де я отримав легке поранення. Це були вуличні протести.
For me, the war actually started back in 2013 on the Maidan, during the Maidan protests, where I was actually wounded. I received a light injury.
Я не мав ніякої підготовки. Ось я просто прийшов туди з камерою і попав в місце, де люди кидали каміння. В мене не було захисту, і з боку поліції летіли шумові гранати.
I was not prepared at all. I just went there, basically. I didn't know what to expect. And basically people were throwing rocks at the militia and the police. And they were actually shooting back with shock grenades. And I received a wound because of a grenade explosion that exploded just next to me.
Так, і це, в принципі, було... Це підвело мене під те, щоб я задумався, що я знімаю і як я знімаю. Так я став... Це перший мій крок був, і так я став кінооператором.
And basically that was the beginning of me becoming a cinematographer. I started to ask myself questions. What am I filming? How am I filming it? What's the goal in it? What for? That's how I became a film operator.
Протести тривали 3 місяці. І приблизно 2 місяці в мене пішло на те, щоб я відчув простір, в якому я нахожусь, і став частиною цього простору. Я приходив туди кожен день.
The protests continued for 3 months, and it actually took me 2 months to really understand my role, to feel the space, to get to know what am I there to do, what's my point, what's my sense of doing what I do.
Проблема була в тому, що до цих подій я займався телебаченням і інколи знімав музичні відеокліпи.
The problem was that until then I had worked in TV and basically most of my work concentrated on filming video clips, music video clips.
І це зовсім не підходило для документування подій.
Which obviously did not have much to do with documentary filming.
Кадри були, які я записував, вони тривали десь 10-15 хвилин. Я кудись підходив, знаходив щось цікаве, що можна було зняти, робив кадр там 10 секунд і йшов далі, щоб зняти ще щось так само, 10 секунд.
Basically, I would film for 10-15 seconds. When I would see or come across something interesting, I would basically just film it for 10 seconds or so and then move on to the next scene.
І приблизно під кінець 3-го місяця мої кадри були довжиною 15-20 хвилин.
But by the end of the 3rd month, the filming extended to about 15 to 20 minutes long clips.
Я зрозумів, що події навколо мене розгортаються одночасно. І це точки в просторі, які я можу з'єднати за допомогою камери.
I understood that things are basically happening parallelly in many scenes at the same time, and I understood that by filming I can actually bring these parallel realities together and create a single image.
Це був такий тревелінг. Я знімав обличчя, я затримувався, де мені хотілося, і міняв крупність, і міняв місця.
So basically I would just follow my intuition, I would film faces, I would film scenes, I would keep on the move and film what actually captivated me.
І це моє таке перше перетворення в кінооператора.
And this was the first phase of my transformation into a camera operator.
Після того почалися вже бойові дії на сході України. Ми знімали, і я зняв 2 фільми, які мали успіх, документальних. Про це можна дуже багато розповідати. Ось, але я хотів сказати...
After that, the war erupted in the east of Ukraine, and I went there and I made 2 documentary films on the subject. I could talk about it a lot, of course, but...
Ми не маємо стільки багато часу, але якщо ви хочете знімати в зоні бойових дій або близько з зоною бойових дій...
I won't talk much about it because we don't have the time, but what I want to say that if you want to work in a war zone or close to a war zone, there is a number of things that I can share with you.
Ви маєте попіклуватись про себе. Це має бути тренінг з тактичної медицини.
First of all, you need to take care of yourself. You need to have some training when it comes to tactical medicine, to actually battlefield medicine.
Ви маєте розуміти, які вибухові речовини і яка зброя може бути направлена проти вас.
You need to understand what explosives are, what weapons can be used against you, how do they work, what's the range of explosions, and so on.
Ви маєте продумати всі випадки, які з вами можуть трапитись, і мати план Б.
You have to actually go in your head through all scenarios that could possibly happen to you, and you always need to have a plan B.
І тоді ваша робота буде більш безпечною, і ви зможете зберегти своє життя і зняти щось класно.
Then your work will actually become maybe not safe, but safer. And you'll be able to protect your well-being, your health, your life, and possibly film something valuable as well.
Я хочу розказати маленьку історію про зйомку, яка відбулась вже після 24 лютого.
I would like to tell you a little story about some filming I did actually after 24th of February, after the invasion.
І хочу показати невеличкий шматочок з цього.
And I'd like to show you, actually, present you a small fragment of that film.
Шановні пасажири, продовжується посадка на поїзд номер 93 з полученням Київ-Чернівці. Поїзд знаходиться на 6-й колії. Поїзд прослідує через станції Вінниця, Хмельницький, Тернополь, Львів, Івано-Франківськ. Увага! Поїзд прослідує через станції Вінниця, Хмельницький, Тернопіль, Львів, Івано-Франківськ.
Я вас выслушаю сейчас! Надо было вообще мужиков не пускать туда молодых!
Ці кадри я зняв в Києві, і інше місто – це Миколаїв. Ці два міста, вони знаходились майже в осаді.
I filmed this material in two cities, in the city of Kyiv and in the city of Mykolaiv.
Осада як оточення.
These two cities were basically surrounded. They were under siege.
24 лютого я відвіз свою дружину і свого сина в безпечне місце і повернувся. 26 лютого я потрапив на цей вокзал в Києві.
So on the 24th of February, I took my wife and my son to a safe place, and then I came back I came back to Kyiv, and on the 26th of February, I found myself in this place.
Цікавий момент те, що я не мав камери, ось, але рентові, які дають камеру в оренду, в той момент давали камери безкоштовно.
Interesting fact, I had no camera then, but at that time, the places that rented out cameras would give them out for free of charge.
І я зібрав свою камеру, зізвонився з режисерською, з якою мені хотілося працювати, і ми зустрілись на вокзалі. Я шукав людину, я не хотів знімати сам, я хотів працювати з режисером.
So I got a camera, and then I got in touch with a director, a woman director I wanted to work with, and that's how it started. I didn't want to work alone. I wanted to work with somebody, particularly with her, with that specific director.
Тут ми провели 3 дні, точніше 2 дні і 1 ніч.
We spent 3 days filming, actually 2 days and 1 night.
Вокзал був переповнений людей, які довго чекали можливості поїхати.
The train station was absolutely crowded, filled with people who were desperate for any way to get out.
Вокзал – це така точка, де змінювались і людські історії розходились в різні місця.
The train station is a place, actually, is this point where human fates would take different turns. People would go in different places, their lives would change.
І це був такий осознаний вибір того, що я хочу робити. Тому що, я би так сказав, кіно – це ілюзія, але вона неможлива без реальності, яка розгортається перед об'єктивом.
So that was my choice. That's what I decided to do. And perhaps I should add that, of course, film is an illusion, but this illusion would not be possible without filming reality that is in front of the camera.
Ми продовжуємо знімати цей фільм про людей, які постраждали від цих подій. Ось. І це, напевно, наш вклад в наше, не знаю, суспільство, бути рядом з нашими громадянами.
So we continue our work, we continue filming, telling stories of people who suffered from this horrible situation, and this is what we do. This is our input, this is our share of work and our contribution to our society.
Я дуже дякую всім. Сподіваюся, всі будуть живі і все буде добре.
Thank you very much. I wish you all well. Hopefully we'll all be alive and everything will turn out great. Thanks.
Дякую вам.
So, with Anton, we drove here to KAMERIMAGE like 7 years ago, first time, or 8. Yes, and we took a very long bus in 2014 from Kiev to Poland. And 8 years ago, we can't imagine that a student from Karpenka-Kary National University will sit here during even with these circumstances. So, Anton has experience working as a cinematographer and as a volunteer. And the question for you is how you feel when the war started, full-scale invasion started, and how you made your choice to separate it or to do both.
Is this working? Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Actually, I haven't missed since that time. I haven't missed any KINOKO editions apart from the COVID one, and I thought I'm going to miss this one. But yeah, thank you guys for organizing this, and obviously thank you KINOKO for organizing this. So I had an opportunity to come back. And I'll start as everyone else by saying that obviously the war that Russia started against Ukraine has been going on since 2014. And we've had a lot of time to interact with it. And I personally went through a lot of transformations, both as a cinematographer and as a person. And just as everyone else, after Maidan, occupation of Crimea and occupation of parts of the eastern regions, I had an urgent sense of need to do something, to contribute somehow meaningfully to the resistance, to help those that have suffered directly from the active fighting. And picking up a gun was out of question, back then at least. And obviously, as everyone else here, I felt that the only thing you could do was filming. I have spent about a year on and off in 2014 at the front lines in Luhansk region. And I've been back to Donbass many times after that for different projects. And all this time, since 2014 and all the way up till the full-scale invasion, I really didn't find that purpose that I was looking for. Like, I kept documenting, I kept capturing the reality, but I wasn't really getting at what I was aiming for, which was interpreting and reflecting, like creating a cinematic platform that could establish a common ground for a future like civic, cultural, and political discussion. It sounds pretentious, obviously. I just don't have a better wording for it. But what I mean is that war really puts everything into a new perspective constantly. Like, you start asking yourself how relevant is what you're doing, how relevant your goals in life are, and obviously how relevant is what you're doing professionally. And before I continue with the professional changes and how it is to work during a war as a cinematographer, I would like to highlight a personal change. It is a bit controversial, I guess, but it really underlines how different your perception becomes once you need to apply these intellectual and like ethical principles that we all have formed by abstract education and life circumstances. And once you have to apply those to like a horribly violent reality on the ground, which millions of people are now facing, things really shift. And being embedded with soldiers several times since 2014, you get plenty of opportunity to go out to a range and shoot a gun, practice with it, and generally get into all these kind of military environments. And back then, I was actually like really actively resisting being involved in that directly, because I felt that I was an observer. Yes, I was getting very close to things, and obviously, as everyone who's done documentaries, you try to get access, you try to see things that are kept from others if you spend time with your characters. But I wasn't really actively participating. I felt that I was and I am still against guns, and obviously I'm against war and so on and so forth. So I felt a bit alien, and I was perceiving, although it was my country, I was perceiving, yes, I'm a documentary filmmaker, I'm a cinematographer, I'm trying to capture these things, but I'm not really actively taking part. And I have to say that things really changed now. As soon as I have time, I'm planning on practicing a lot with guns. I want to know how to handle them and safely. I want to know how to store them safely, and so on and so forth, because these abstract principles just kind of shattered against this wall of tragic reality. And the matter of fact is that, you know, really, really regular people in regular houses in Bucha, a regular middle-class town in Ukraine, have just been enjoying their regular lives, and then Russians just came in and killed them, and many of them, and they keep doing this. And so basically now being able to handle a gun, and it's kind of a matter of life and death. And for millions of Ukrainians, self-defense is not like a political debate between Republicans and Democrats. It's a matter of life and death for them and for people around them. And this is like a more radical example of these personal changes that I think not just me went through, but I think it highlights the point that each of us had obviously a different path, and someone needed more time, others less. And for me, I really feel that now I cannot just be an observer. I'm taking part in these circumstances, and unfortunately, I think you are all also taking part. And like nobody can escape this. It's just a matter of realizing this and being ready for it, or trying to escape and like not look that way. So back to the things filming. So departing, I was in Berlin. Some people who are here who know me know that I've been spending last years between Berlin and Kiev. And on the 24th, I was in Berlin, or actually I was in Prague, then I came back to Berlin, and I departed right away towards Ukraine. And my first idea and goal was obviously filming. I was actually working on a documentary before the invasion. I was in Kiev just like a month before that. And I wanted to keep working on it, now adapting to this new reality. And the invasion itself wasn't really a surprise. As most of us, we didn't think it would be such a huge scale. We thought it probably would start from the east, and then things would evolve somehow. But I was very determined to film, and I was determined to finally break like this glass ceiling that I have been hitting since 2014, where from project to project I was capturing, I was documenting, but I wasn't really creating any cinematic, meaningful interpretation. And so I'm gonna show a clip. These are like some very early footage, but it's just an example of how I was trying to look for different approaches. My idea was basically to come up with some framework that would limit myself in looking for these approaches, because war from the distance seems like a very self-sufficient cinematic event where you just come, put a camera on a tripod, and that's it, that's a film. But in reality, it's actually not like that at all. And you really need something limiting you so that you can actually focus. But let's watch a clip and then I'll go on.
Вони встигли виїхати, так? Робити їх помішали. Не наче тільки взяли, навіть в Донецьку. Издевались. Ужас тут делали. Фашисты. Это фашисты.
Don't get me wrong, this is not what I was aiming for. It's far from it, but I wanted to show this early footage just to highlight, being this seminar on cinematography, like what I was thinking and what I was looking for in terms of like actual approaches. If you go out, like especially, I was talking about war and the fact that it seems very dynamic and self-sufficient and like full of stories. But actually, it's really hard to get access. And whenever you have access to whatever, usually you're very limited in time. And many things are happening. You are not in control of them. Usually there is a person who can tell you at any time that you have to stop filming, or now you have to move, or whatever. So I usually work with a very small setup, with the zoom lens. I want to be mobile. I want to have my 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the beginning of any documentary kind of environment and scene to really think, okay, what is happening here? How am I supposed to approach it? What are the shots that I'm looking for? But it's virtually impossible during the war in most cases. Not always. Obviously, if you're embedded with someone for a very long time, then you get other opportunities. Most of the time is like that, so I decided to try this approach with the gimbal, because it's very counterintuitive, because gimbal does not give you flexibility. You are extremely limited, and but that was exactly what I was looking for. So once I would arrive somewhere and I knew I was there for 2-3 hours, or maybe 1 hour, maybe half an hour, whatever time I had available, I just had to come up with 1 or 2 gimbal shots that would present the essence of what is happening in front of me. And I guess, I mean, as I said, there isn't really that much meaning in here, but that definitely worked for me in terms of how you could approach these environments. Then obviously you still need to find environments that are meaningful and representative for what you're trying to capture. But that was my thinking. And then in the last small part, I would work like this as well, especially where there were many people, I would just concentrate on close-ups and actually take out the wide shots and the place where everything was happening completely out of the frame, because again, things are not that glamorous, and the lighting usually is horrible. You have white walls and really bad top lighting on people. So focusing on details or on portraits also helps actually, yeah, identifying what is important, and in these kind of things, people are usually what you want to show. I apologize, I haven't warned you about the graphic content, but I guess that was my point. Maybe we can have a discussion afterwards about the morality of things and how you approach ethical questions during the war. Coming back to the initial thoughts about these abstract, although very important questions that I'm talking about right now about the ethics. As far as I'm concerned, these images are needed. The question is why you choose to show them, and especially why you choose to capture them. Because I filmed several of these press safaris, as you see, concentrating on the journalists themselves, and yeah, visiting mass graves and so on and so forth, going to liberated territories. And the predatory behavior of the journalist has traumatized me personally just as much as the graves themselves. So I guess that's also an interesting thing to talk about. But it is, for me, a matter of fact that you and me and everyone else has to see this because it's just there every day, all over the place. And we can pretend it's not. We can move on to a new kind of theme in the news cycle. But these are, I mean, also for the lack of better word, they're just random people who have been killed in their houses, and they're completely innocent. And you know, filming them, I would keep thinking, this could be my father, or this could be my brother, who were in Kiev on the 24th. And these people just had less luck. And so I do think it's important, in this case, to actually present this reality. Maybe not show it the way it is, try to find a cinematic approach and a cinematic interpretation, but definitely show it. And since the very beginning, I have been volunteering. I have been doing different things, but kind of trying to keep these two worlds separated. Like concentrating on the filming side was taking some of my time, and then I would volunteering as everyone else. At the very beginning in the Western, we started in the Western Ukraine, evacuating people to the border, because it was very important back then. There was no infrastructure. As you saw in Slava's images, it was complete mayhem on the train stations, and people would sit there for days, and then the trains themselves would travel for days. There were no buses, huge queues and lines of cars, and just people standing in lines at the border. So we would bring people to the border, and then have other volunteers and other friends of ours picking up. Some of them are sitting here as well, picking people up on the other side of the border, and then organizing for these people actually places where they could go in Berlin and Prague and other parts of European Union. And then, but at some point, I kind of realized that under these circumstances, it was both very difficult to keep these things apart, and it was actually almost impossible to get into that meaningful interpretation and meaningful reflection while remaining behind the camera. And I have to be also honest, I actually have been frustrated for many years before this invasion, feeling like my active citizen position and my kind of intellectual perception of things around me hasn't been really reflecting on my deeds and on my actual activities. You know, I would be frustrated about what's happening around the world around me, and as most of us are, but I would still persist on trying to kind of integrate into this like post-capitalist industrial world and trying to succeed or whatever. And so I just kind of let it go, and I realized that this was exactly what I was looking for so many years, that in order to make a meaningful film, and I'm not saying I'm going to succeed, I'm just saying that I found my path to try it, and I feel like I have more chances now to actually get to a point where I can do what I wanted, was to really stop running behind things, and I stopped worrying that I'm missing some actuality, that things are changing and I haven't filmed them. So I kept volunteering more and more, and now we actually have we have a small organization called Base UA. Please follow us on Instagram. And we started with these evacuations in the eastern part of Ukraine, in Donbas mainly, Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, two of the cities that suffered most from active fighting. And now we have a quite big collective of people doing different things. My wife Margarita is in the audience. She does an amazing art camp for refugee children inside Ukraine, who have fled from occupied territories or from territories that are, yeah, this is one of them, that are under shelling. And we make these rehabilitation art camps for them in the western part of Ukraine, in the mountains, trying to show that art actually, and among the different things that we do there, image and photography and maybe also a bit of cinema is what we're trying to present to them as an instrument of reflection and rehabilitation. We do TACMED trainings with the paramedics that are embedded with us. This is Daniel, an amazing human being. We also do we work with different doctors from Kiev and Kharkiv, going to also liberated territories or frontline villages and assisting people there, and many other things. And that is, and finally, I actually realized this is what needs to be done to understand what I'm trying to cinematically represent, because I know for a fact now that it doesn't matter how well you embed it and how much access you have, you just cannot really get into things deep enough if you're not participating in them, at least for myself. So I'm planning to keep doing this humanitarian work, but I really perceive it as like an ultimate research, and I also keep working on this film, which is called Beton. It will probably take me years, but unfortunately this war is not going away anytime soon, so I don't have to rush, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to present Beton at CAMERIMAGE in a couple of years. Thank you.
Looks like this is my turn. So yeah, I was at third year studying film school when the Revolution of Dignity started in 2013. Before it, you know, I think that all my career I'll do a film for my mom, maybe some ketchup commercial. So it was like a big dream to go to some romantic films, comedies, music videos. Now it's so funny. And after all, during Maidan, of course, I think how I can participate as a citizen and as a cinematographer. So I asked our headmaster, head of cinematography department in our university, can I do a documentary about it? And he said, of course, go for it. And it was like a place when I changed a little bit, because in the middle of revolution, I was with my friends filming, at night, and after all, we were kidnapped and kidnapped by riot police, and then I was charged for 15 years in prison for this action. So it was a hell of a journey for a 19-year-old DP. But it was all for the best somehow. So after court,
he's already not charged.
Not charged. Like 8 years already. It's I spent some time in prison, but a couple days, and then because the revolution was ongoing, it was hard for a politician to keep all the political prisoners. But after this, in the next day, I joined Babylon 13. Babylon 13 is a group of independent filmmakers which organized in the very beginning of Revolution of Dignity in Maidan. And it's a breaking point for me as an artist, as a cinematographer, as a person. Because in the same time, I can work with the best people in our country, and I learned from them a lot. After all years, I started develop some visual language, I hope so, and we start cover all situations that happen in our country, such as annexation of Crimea, war in Donbass, of course, and finally I started to, and big problems that I had, that I can't find the right persons, right directors to work with, and it was something that tricked me hardly, because I filmed a lot of material, but I wasn't happy with the result at all, and I was a little bit depressed, because it's hard. You film during hard circumstances, but you do not see a result. And finally, I met beautiful directors at Babylon 13, and we start working together. And after all, I even start producing some projects, and we spotlight that Russian war crimes that they did long before 24th of February in 2014, 2015, they are not covered and highlighted in a film. So we did a couple documentaries. It was all made just by phone interception, open source data, material from criminal cases. And then in 2019, we started to work with the case. It's actually one of the biggest war crime in the 21st century. It's about Russian shutdowning of passenger airplane MH17. And we started to work with this case and realized that we can't cover it just with documentary material. So after all, we developed this project, and it became a hybrid documentary. And it became a next breaking point for me as a cinematographer and as a filmmaker. So I'm gonna show you a trailer of Iron Butterflies and then describe more about cinematic approach here.
Птичка полетела к вам. Короче, блин, стопудово гражданский бор.
Ополченцы утверждают, что Боинг сбили украинские силы противовоздушной обороны.
One of the most complex criminal investigations ever to be conducted.
This video fragment was falsified.
It was from the beginning a political case. violence has no way to conceal itself except by lies, and lies have no way to maintain themselves except through violence. Establishing the truth in this case may help prevent fresh violence in the future.
I still hope that establishing the truth in this case would prevent new war in the future in our continent. Yeah, but about cinematography and everything in this film. Before Iron Butterflies, I was maybe a bit too classy. You know, we had a very classy film school in Kiev, and our masters did an excellent job, teached us, but it's, you know, still a little bit classy about cameras, camera movement, your decision as a cinematographer. But with Iron Butterflies, it's all another story. I had 4 different cameras here and maybe 7 or 8 different lens setup. And when I started to work with director, we decided that we will be as open as possible to all changes. We will try everything to make this hybrid documentary alive. And of course, I realize that we will edit a lot of different material, TV stuff, YouTube stuff, open source data, and how I can, you know, match it all. And after all, I realized that I do not need to match it. We start to do this separation, develop with our friends from London this physical theater technique, because it's a big moral question how to film this artistic recreational. And we decided that, you know, body language, it doesn't need translation. So it's things that understandable without understanding of Ukrainian or English or another language. And after all, I realized that it's all about collaboration. You have to find an artist. It can be a director, production designer, scriptwriter, composer, sound recordist, with whom you can work and with whom you can make something important for you. Because this project is really important. It will be premiere in a huge, big, fancy festival in a couple months. But for me, as a citizen of Ukraine, it was important to tell the story from Ukrainian perspective, because 298 people was killed, and most of them didn't have any connection to this war. You know, most of them are from Canada, Malaysia, Belgium, Netherlands, and it's all innocent people. And I've put a lot of thoughts in the film as a Ukrainian, that we can't deal with situation when someone can kill civilians without any, you know, trials, without any, how to say in English, consequences. So this is something that we have to deal with. You can't work with war criminals. You have to judge them. You have to put all of them in jail. And then maybe in 5-10 years we will back to normal life, and I wouldn't feel fear when I go to a passenger airplane. But yeah, another clip that clip that I I want to share with, it's more relevant to the current events. It's called Independence Day, and it's for me a spirit of Babylon 13 organization, because we decided that okay, we have this year one of the hardest day of independence of our country in modern history, and we have to record it, filmed it as a document, and 10 different cinematographers, 4 directors decided to do a one-day documentary. So we decided to spread around the country, worked in Kiev, Lviv, near front line, in the Kherson region, in Donetsk region, to make the portrait of Ukraine. And it will be also presented in a festival next year. But for me, it's a nice story because I learned from these people. Some of them was my buddies in a film school. Some of them was, I don't know, very much experienced cinematographers. But after all, we all work together, and it's a nice example how you can put out your being like one DP or a main DP in a project to the big idea of making a film. So let's watch Independence Day of Ukraine.
Увага! Повітряна тривога! Всім сотрудникам прийти до бомбосховища.
Аншлаг начался.
З Днем Незалежності, мій незламний народе. Чи є сила, яка здатна
Є, прийшов.
Пацаны, давайте уже.
One month ago, I firstly went go to film festival. I received a permission from a government to leave a country, and I went to Doc Leipzig and Jiglava and talked more about how we can cooperate right now. And both of these clips are a co-production. First of it's Ukrainian-Germany co-production, and Independence Day at Ukrainian-Poland co-production. So I told everyone that I feel that a lot of people afraid to cooperate with Ukraine right now because of war, actually, but do not be. It's very important. I understand that mostly here is the DPs, not the producers or I don't know, big bosses. But it's very important for us to feel and to feel support, of course, and to hear voices outside of the box. To all this project, we invited colleagues from Germany, from Poland, from Netherlands, to take a look, to see what we can do, because we're a little bit blurry with all of our understanding what's happening right now. And we, you know, the main idea is to do film for a foreign audience, to describe current situation and to tell you actually more about Ukraine and to debunk Russian fake and Russian propaganda. And unfortunately, not in Poland actually, but in more West European country, Russian did an excellent job with propaganda in the people's minds. They set up these big fancy TV studios in London, in Berlin, in Prague, in all the city with, I don't know, amazing big oil, gas, money budget. And in Ukraine we do not have, and we wouldn't have so many resources for deliver thousands of men and women to do counter-propaganda or to spread some news about Ukraine. But what we have in Ukraine, it's an extremely interesting artistic voices. And main goal of Babylon 13, and for me as an artist and a producer and cinematographer, to share it with the audience. So it's like my statement for you, do not be afraid to work with Ukrainians. We have some stories to share and we can share it together. I'm confident about it. And what I can say about Independence Day, you see like a lot of cinematographers in the final title. And even Anastasia, as director, filmed a huge scene for the movie. And it's interesting story because I've learned from a lot of my colleagues how to film it. And today it was an idea to bring here Yaroslav Pilunskyi, one of our mastermind in visual storytelling and cinematographer, and I hope Anastasia can tell more about situation with Slava and all the reason.
Yeah, you may have noticed that we are a few people short. 2 people can't be with us today. It's Denis Melnik, the Ukrainian cinematographer. He is not here with us because actually of an exciting reason. A couple of days ago, the part of the Kherson region was liberated. It is really extremely important news for us, and Denis, as being DP who does the project about the characters who are from that region, who actually are going right now to that region, he had to stay to film it, and we are really excited for him, and we wish him really good and safe filming. I think he is going there like today. Yeah, or went already tomorrow. So unfortunately, he can be with us here, but actually you all have a chance to see his previous film. It's called Salt from Bonneville. It will be shown tomorrow in documentary theater as part of a KINOKO program here at CAMERIMAGE. It's really a great visual film, and it was shot by 3 Ukrainian DPs. Actually, and Denis was like a mastermind of the film. And the other one colleague is Yaroslav Pilunskyi, as Andrii told already. He is a part of Babylon 13 collective. He was one of the first DPs who joined during the Revolution of Dignity. Actually, Slava is one of the most experienced DPs in Ukraine. He started his work during, I would say, early 90s. He did a lot of commercials, he did a lot of music videos. He has experience in feature filmmaking as well as in documentary, but since 2014 he completely turned himself into documentary. Because for Slava, war began at first he was shooting during the Maidan, but when Crimea was occupied, he went there, and actually, because he is from Crimea, it is really personal for him, and together with the other colleague, Yura Gruzinov, they were kept hostage for a couple of weeks. We had no idea where they are or are they alive, what happened to them, and only with some kind of a bribe, as I remember, it was possible to free them. And since then, Slava turned himself completely into documentary. He worked a lot on films in the eastern part of Ukraine. He also did some kind of a film school for children from that region. He worked with the children a lot for these past years. This school, and also it actually turned into a bigger project, bigger like volunteer / cultural project, Yellow Bus. They did amazing job. Helping to go through all this experience people from the eastern and eastern part of Ukraine went. But now Slava is here because of this really tough reason for all of us. He actually had to join the army. 1 second, please. No, it's okay. Thank you. As you might heard from all of us, that after the war, this escalation of the war, all of us had to find a new place for us in this reality that suddenly occurred. We couldn't couldn't decide if it's enough being a filmmaker or we maybe should do something more. And obviously it was not enough for Slava, because he, from the very beginning, he decided that he should be doing, he should be joining our military. And at the very beginning of it, he actually was kind of a volunteer and do it not actually officially. They were flying with the drones over the occupied Kyiv region, like Bucha and Irpin, for a couple of months before it was liberated. And he did it together with the other friends from Babylon 13, actually Roman Luby, the director of Iron Butterflies that Andrii presented, and Ivan Bannikov, very famous and very beautiful Ukrainian editor. Yeah. So as you can see, there are people that I would say that they couldn't, it's not like, it wasn't the decision for them. They just couldn't do it anymore. The film was not enough for them. So Slava right now is actually defending our country in the eastern border, and that's because, that's the reason he's not with us today. But I think that actually, even though he officially changed his profession, what he does right now is actually connected to the image, but in a different way, because Slava joined the Air Reminiscence. And right now he's working not only with the drones, but actually BPLA, UAV, yeah, thank you. UAV, it's like a small plane who does like the visual footage for those who are researching, like searching the grounds, looking for Russian troops and Russian technique. And right now we will show the short clip of what Slava's work actually looks like right now. It is still like really connected to the image, but in a very different way. It's not it's no longer cinematic, even though it might seem like I would say even beautiful in the terms of the war, but it's no longer cinema. It's the actual war itself.
Високі Всевишні землі торкаються, тінню пташиною назве цю землю, потім Україною там повертається, зіркою вишні горять сузір'я. Високі Всевишні землі торкаються, тінню пташиною назве цю землю, потім Україною там повертається, зіркою вишні горять сузір'я.
корабель важкий, ніби книга. Риба плавниками рухає стиха. Півчі вгорі розгортають вітрила. Це наша Богородиця з нами говорила. Давній корабель навантажений скарбами, пливає у поле золотими снопами, здіймається рікою великою тривкою такою, тихою, глибокою такою. Повільний корабель вантажений піснями, темряву випалює сигнальними вогнями. Пливе до нестями, пливе до знемоги, шукає землю любов'ю і тривогою. Це наша земля, вкладчена мовою, кривою черневою, стежкою зимовою, теплою колядкою, подібною до квітки. Ми знаємо, хто ми, і знаємо звідки.
Високі Всевишні землі торкається тінню пташиною на цю землю, потім Україною так повертається з гілкою вишні, горять суцвіття. Високі Всевишні землі торкається тінню пташиною на цю землю, потім Україною так повертається з гілкою вишні, горять суцвіття. Високі Всевишні землі торкається тінню пташиною на цю землю, потім Україною так повертається з гілкою вишні, горять суцвіття. Високі Всевишні землі торкається тінню пташиною на цю землю, потім Україною так повертається з гілкою вишні, горять суцвіття. Високі Всевишні землі торкається тінню пташиною на цю землю, потім Україною.
As I told, three of our friends joined this group of Adam. This was the naming in the end. And right now they are like in the eastern border of Ukraine. Actually, I know that they are filming a lot with this like GoPro cameras. They also have a lot of footage from the planes, from the drones. And I have like really strong belief in my heart that after the victory, Slava will have the strength in himself to go through with that material, to make it into something, because it can actually be a really strong altered voice about that really actually unrealistic experience for a filmmaker. And for that matter, we actually we need this victory, and I think that we all want to ask you not to forget that the war is actually happening right now. It happens every day, and a lot of our colleagues like Slava, not only DPs but also directors, producers, gaffers, as one that you saw in this clip, Max Ruban, who was actually wounded, hurt really hard, and right now he cannot do not only his job but also he cannot be in the military anymore. He is on the recovery, and probably he would move abroad for the recovery. They are in the borders of our country every day since the 21st February, and some of them since 2014. So please not forget about it, and share this information. And we are really happy, and we are really thankful for all the support that Europe, and not only Europe, have given Ukraine and us in this past month. So thank you.
Yeah, one last scene before we go to Q&A. I think most of you are DP cinematographers here, yes? And all of you know how intimate relationship between DP and gaffer can be, you know, how it's your best buddy. And you saw in this clip Yaroslav and Max Ruban, and Max was his best gaffer for 15 years. and Max covered his. So Max took most of shrapnels from a tank attack and covered his DP. So even with the war, we still have this relationship from a set, and it's, I think, very important. And my gaffer also got wounded in the eye, and now he returned in action. So I'm just happy that I know these brave people. And of course, we can talk more about technical stuff and cameras, lenses, but I think most important to hear questions, feedbacks from you. So now we have a volunteer in a hall. So please raise your hand, and we will be happy to talk to you.
Thank you. At first, great work. You all made it really good, and I'm really impressed that you still continue to filming in these hard times. The question, I have a little question. It's basically for all of you, but especially for Anton, because you had this really graphic image of the burnt body, and I was really shocked about this image because I didn't expect that you would show us this. Is there anything you guys, and especially Anton, wouldn't show?
One, two, three. I guess I already said that I think right now I'm just asking how am I filming things rather than would I or wouldn't I film them. So I wouldn't know it in an abstract term. For sure there are some things that I just wouldn't film, but it hasn't happened so far. But I know that actually people have different perspective. I know Andrii has some boundaries.
It was like a question for me, if I'm gonna ask it to colleagues, because all of us has a different perspective. Because I have stops, like inside me, something stopped me to film. And it's not basically about bodies. It's something that you deal with every day in Ukraine, massive graveyards, war crimes. So you have to be prepared as a DP, as a person for situation like it, even for contact like it. For me, most hard experience in past 8 years was filming in a Lviv railway station, because it was so hard to watch people's life broke like in your eyes. Family changed, like father stayed in Lviv, and I saw, I saw a footage how father sent 3 children to Poland with his wife, dog, cat, and I think how it will be in English, some small rat, hamster, and it was, sorry about small rat, and it was actually so hard on so many levels. So I called producer and said, okay, I had a problem with the cameras. It's for some reason not working anymore. It was Canon. Canon did excellent cameras. Cameras still operating. I lied for a producer, maybe for the first time in my life. So yeah, I stopped filming. And it wasn't about sensitive content. It's about, like, I feel that I can be in the place of this father, and I definitely understand that I wouldn't show this for audience, because it can re-traumatize him as a person. And yeah, but I think colleagues Khrystyna and Slava maybe has a lot of experience.
Just one thing, I agree actually with Andrii about the fact that the most horrible scenes are not the most graphic ones. And also I want to point to the fact that, you know, it's not just an image of a body. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I wanted to show the bodies so that you see what the journalists were concentrating on. And as I said, I was traumatized by their behavior almost as much as by the bodies themselves. So as long as you have context and as long as you know why you're doing it, I think you can show things. But I also agree with Andrii that the most horrible situations that really brought me to tears were these very personal stories of an 18-year-old in Kiev who was back for 2 weeks to see his girlfriend. And, you know, before the war, he wasn't even, he was underage, and now he's fighting in the East, and he was obviously all tough about it. And just seeing this kid inside his home with his family and with his girlfriend, obviously not understanding at all what's going on, and realizing what he's actually going through and how dangerous it is, and that his life probably might end like tomorrow. These things are much more distressing than the graphic content.
So yeah, as the guy said, now we're living in Ukraine in totally different reality when you your illusions about what you can shoot and what you can't, it's changing. For me, it was like a pass, and it's still going on, because first thing that I saw that really shocked me, it was mass grave in Bucha. And I was so stressed that I've just looked the material, and I understand that I've shot only 2 shots. I've just shot a mass grave and then one woman's hand. And then I come back there, and it was like police was looking and, I don't know how, describing the bodies. And I heard just from them saying that like mostly all of the people were shot in the head, not with regular guns. I don't know, they were shot in the guns that just, I don't know how to explain it, just it's no head there. And I thought as a cinematographer, should I shot this, should I show this, because it's really shocking that they're doing this just to regular people. And I did this shot. And then I was looking at it, I just asked to open black bag and to show me the head of the guy, and I did this shot, and I was looking at it and I was thinking, can I do this, can I show this? Because as we all were saying, it can be someone's father, it can be someone's brother, and I'm just taking a shot, not even, I asked who it is, what the name, and his brother was staying near, but still I was thinking about, should I show it? And then I was shooting a mass grave in Izum city, it's Kharkiv Oblast. And I understand, maybe it's after Bucha, it's 5 or 6 months passed. And I was looking on this process in totally different way. I understand that this is a massive tragedy. And you should think how to shoot it. We were thinking how to shoot a scene without showing the bodies, and we did it. We were shooting for 2 days, but this is something about the people, but also about the families, about every story. But it's also about massive, very, very big, massive tragedy, and it's it should be shot. It should be shot. It's just you have to think how to do it, and you have to think where to show it, where to put the shots. It's it's hard. And for me, as a cinematographer, the hardest was not even these graves, but mostly stories of people that they were sharing. Because for now in Ukraine, mostly all of these stories are really, really painful. So that's what I can say. That's what I can share.
Я можу сказати, що після 24 лютого, наприклад, телеграм-канали, з яких ми черпали новини, вони були переповнені мертвими тілами. Тобто ми на протязі місяця дуже багато передивилися саме актів вбивства і каліцтва людей.
I can say that after the 24th of February, the social media Telegram channels, especially the Telegram applications, were filled with tons of images of dead bodies, of corpses. And basically we were sort of just overloaded with these images.
І, в принципі, цей поріг сприйняття каліцтва або зруйнованого тіла мертвого, він значно знизився. Тобто це не є зараз для нас такою шокуючою інформацією.
Basically, the effect was that because of this massive exposure to such drastic images, the threshold of our sensitivity to such grave images has really decreased. It's really much lower now than it used to be.
Ну, як кінематографіст, я вважаю, що прямо показувати мертве тіло або скалічене – це як порнографія.
As a cinematographer, I think that just directly showing a dead body, a corpse, or a really mutilated body, injured body, it's really close to pornography.
Коли ми стикаємося з цим, ми завжди шукаємо або якесь художнє рішення, або якесь відображення цього.
So when we encounter such scenes, when we have to deal with them, we try to kind of filter them through some sort of artistic vision or some sort of a deeper meaning that we can put on it.
So, thank you for this question. It's, as you can see, it's like triggered some different thoughts, and maybe we can have another one from my audience. I saw hands here in the first row as well, and yours.
I have a following question to that. When you had to shoot this graphic footage, did you ever had problems with showing it somewhere? Like, I'm from Germany, and when you are a journalist and coming to the television with this graphic image, they say, okay, horrible image, but we will not show it on TV because it's too graphic and it's not necessary to show it on television. So, do you ever had problems?
Yes, I think I covered the answer that we worked with BBC, and for stream we blurred all the hard content, like genitals, part of the body. Yes, so you just blurred it or cover it with some another, I don't know, mark or something. So for television, it's always they can't distribute it.
I mean, not especially television, also movie theaters.
Movie theater, they rate a movie. They put a rate like 16+ rate or something like this. But mostly festival doesn't have a problem with it. But they warned about it before film started. So we put in a film we'll put explainer that film contains image that can distribute.
Okay, thank you.
And I think yes, you're.
Thank you for showcasing all of your work. It was phenomenal. I'm just wondering, before yourselves as DPs, more versus human beings, how, after a day's work filming what you do, how do you reset yourself and start again tomorrow?
Nice. I'm do jiu-jitsu, you know. So I find myself that martial art can help me recover mentally. So for me, it's jiu-jitsu. Brazilian, not Japan. No offense.
I actually feel that I never reset since 24th, like, and probably that's what's saving me. Like, I never had the opportunity to really let it all sink in. I'll go to therapy when it's all over.
All of us.
together. One therapist.
Cinematographers in therapy.
Well, I'm, how to say, after 24th of February, I had like 1 or 2 breakdowns, but what is keeping me, it's very simple thing, it's humor, like positioning myself still like, how to say, on one point I'm all together, one body with my country and with my nation, but still like when I'm shooting some really hard situation, I'm putting myself a little bit away from this situation, and I'm trying to be like transparent in a way, because it's like if you put everything in you, you will be very ill in 1 week. Meditation, running, reading books, friends, very simple things, just keeping yourself as you can, living a normal life. So that's all actually. And shooting all the time, like working, it keeps you, how to say, I don't know, being active keeps you normal.
Ну, в мене, мабуть, немає такого конкретного плану. Ось. Але я просто буду жити далі. В мене є родина, є дитина, ось, яка зростає. Я буду поруч з ними, і думаю, що буде все гаразд.
So I have no concrete way or plan how to handle such issues, such things. But I'm a family man. I have family, I have a child, and basically that motivates me to live on, just carry on with them.
But actually, like at least for me, that's also the transformation that I went through since the invasion, is that I don't really differentiate. Like, it's not like the war is there, I'm here, and like I'm coming to KINOKO and it's something different. Like it's always there. Like so it kind of becomes part of your everyday life. And so it's not like I come back home and I'm a war journalist and I went to Afghanistan for 2 weeks and I came back and I need to recover. This is our life, and you cannot recover it from it. You just have to live with it.
It's like you became like the whole with the situation in the country, and it's like, I understand Anton, like it's really, you don't have to recover, it's just your life, like you're like, how to say, living through this, and it's not anymore a trauma, it's just something that you have to face every day.
Yeah, we had like a joke about it in our. It was actually we were talking about it at Babylon 13 that we should all like right now look for the grant for therapist help. It's extremely important actually, and people go to the therapist even if you don't have war in your country, because it really helps, and it's like right thing to do, and for all of us too.
It's something that film school doesn't teach us, unfortunately. So we have time for one more question, but we are all here. It's a first row. Yeah, and the man was first race.
Actually, it's okay. I want to say something.
Okay, so the other questions? No. Yes, we have a hand.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a question from the perspective of, I feel like I want to share the story about the war as well, not being Ukrainian. But equally, I feel like it's not my place to tell that story, because I didn't live through it like you guys did. And I just wanted to ask, how do you feel about other people telling that story? And I'm not talking about the vultures journalists who just go on those trips. I'm just talking about people who actually do care about it.
if it's not a Russian filmmaker, then I do not have any problem with this. It's nice to have some out-of-the-box thinking point of view to the war, and of course, if you are ready to be in Kiev or in a more peaceful region of Ukraine, we can provide with some, I don't know, advice or help, and it's great that you think that you have something to share about our country and the war. So.
Yeah, I also agree. Actually, it's great to have people from outside, because obviously you see things that for us are mundane and maybe seem not important. You just need to take the time, like, and really understand that you might not know many things, and you really need to get deep into it. And as Andrii was saying, like for many decades now, Russian propaganda has done a very good job. So even if you might think that you haven't been influenced by it, you probably were. So you really need to like first go through this process of really finding the relative truth, at least, and then you can do it. Like Sebastian is there, and he's been in Donbass for many months, Polish filmmaker. And he's doing a great job. He spent there many weeks living in a shelter where refugees were coming, and you know, he really took the time to get to know the people and maybe go beyond the politics and the war and really get to the point. So I'm absolutely up for it, and actually I welcome you to do that, because it's a very important addition as well.
I wanted to add that one of the most beautiful documentary films that I still remember about Ukraine was made by an international filmmaker. The film is called The Distant Barking of Dogs, and the name of filmmaker is Simon Wilmont, and it's an amazing film. I recommend for all of you to see it. It was actually nominated to Oscar. This film was shot like I guess in 2016, 17, somewhere like that time. It was shot in Donbass region, and after that he did another film that premiered just like this year, as I remember correctly. It's called The House Made of Spines. Yes, and these both are amazing examples of how the perspective of non-Ukrainian can be, because it's not about where are you from, it's about the point of view, your visual style, and what actually you want to say. It's about the emotion than the place where you were born. So that's it, I guess.
And yeah, if you still have a question, we are all here for you after seminar, more than open to talk. Now I just have something important to say about this country and this festival, because you know, Poland became a temporary home for millions of Ukrainians, millions, and so huge amount of support that we feeling from Poland, humanitarian, economical, financial, it's something that you can't forget. And I'm so proud that we are staying with our friends from Poland against this brutal invasion, barbaric imperialism, violation of human rights. And what we have in Ukraine, for me, it's a protection of common value, of democracy and of human rights. And from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you for the all people in Poland and for this festival to host, to understand, to warm us. It's really amazing. Thank you, guys. Bardzo dziękuję.